It's a children's book, but I am enjoying reading it. I'm super stoked to share with you today my most recent thrift and library book haul. I realized I'm very much a literature oriented, living books oriented type of homeschooler. Like, we love reading books. So the more books I have that will help us to learn together, the better. Bear with me, I'm just gonna dive in. For my going into kindergarten, we are in full-on summer mode. We're not really doing any formal things right now. We are continuing with phonics around the campfire, and we have started Math with Confidence kindergarten, and we're doing the phonics, but we're also taking the first steps in reading. So we are going to be starting the McGuffey readers. Also picked up at the library, I don't have it with me right now, the Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons, and I'm just sort of using that as like a reference for myself to sort of teach her on the go, just so that I have sort of the basic understanding of how to teach a kid to read so that I can kind of like throw it in everyday life. We kind of homeschool on the go a lot, so we don't necessarily have like a sit down and do schoolwork every day routine. We do sit down and do schoolwork, but in the summertime we kind of like, we like to be outside more, and it's not, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like the right season to be sitting down and doing schoolwork for long periods of time anyway. So anyway, I want to share with you some of my favorites that we found. I was going to do a bring back to the library run, but I was like, wait, I got to share these books. So here they are. What we've been loving is The Llama Who Had No Pajama. And it's just basically a collection of children's poems. It's got like sections on animals, like different animals and bugs. And there's The Llama Who Had No Pajama. And it's just like great little poems, fun illustrations. We love this book. We don't like focus on a poem a day or a week or anything like that. We just kind of like read it at our leisure. We'll go through and read like 10 poems at a time. So that's how we roll with this. We've got Maurice Sendak's Chicken Soup with Rice. This is a wonderful, rhyming, fun book, and it goes through all the different months. So a great little read. Hello Lighthouse. Oh, by the way, this is the book recommended in Gentle and Classical Preschool, which we have been following loosely. So that's how I found that book. And then we've got Hello Lighthouse. This is just kind of like goes through, you know, what somebody does living in a lighthouse, which is pretty cool. We have we have a lighthouse very near where we live, which we visit a lot, so it's pretty cool. And we're kind of moving our focus from, we were doing, I think I mentioned in the last video, we were doing ponds, and now we're sort of more on like ocean, seashore, that side of thing. So we've got that, a great little leeway into ocean. And then to go along with that, we've been reading the Lighthouse Family as a fun read aloud. Everything is read aloud right now because my daughter obviously isn't reading, so. But this is more of like a chapter book. And so she loves the idea of having a chapter book that we read a chapter or two, and then we come back and read another chapter or two another day. So this is the third in the series, The Eagle. We're about to start this one. So that's the Lighthouse Family. That's sort of like our ocean theme, nature study, read alouds. And then for nature study, I have Up and Down in the Garden. And we we're doing like ponds and gardens at the same time, and we're still sort of carrying over gardens because we're in the garden a lot, so it's like great learning opportunities. And we love this book. There's a whole series of these books by Kate Messner. So it's Up and Down in the Garden. We had Over and Under the Pond. We've read the snow one. I forget what that one's called. Over and Under the Snow, I think. But it's fun. Like, it's got a lot of nature, like, specific things in it, but it's in story form. So great read aloud. We've read this a bunch of times, and we will continue to read it. And to go along with nature study, we picked up, those have all been library books so far, but these, I picked up this wildflower book, blank page. It's got great photographs, color. So my daughter loves picking up this one, trying to identify the flowers that we bring home or find. And what we've been doing is when we find a flower that we don't know, and as long as there's more than a few of them, we will pick the flower and part of the stem and leaves and bring it home, and then we come to our reference books and try to identify them. So we've learned a lot of different flowers this way. It's really fun. She loves doing that. And what I didn't realize is when I bought this, it's the Audubon Field Guide to North American Wildflowers, but it's the Western version, and we live in the Eastern, so they don't always match up perfectly, but it will help us find, like, you know, the family and similar species, and then we can like look up exactly the species if it's not in this book. But she loves it because the pictures are like actual pictures of flowers. And I do have another wildflower book. I don't remember the name of it. It's in my car. I have a separate bag that I leave in the car for when we go on like nature hikes and things like that. I always have a reference book with me, so it's good to have. Maybe I'll do a separate video on what's in our nature backpack, like when we go on hikes and things, because I know a lot of people maybe want to know what's in our bag when we go out and explore. So also to go along, field guides. I've picked this up at a thrift store a long time ago, but I'm sharing it here. It's got like every animal, reptiles, shells, plants, birds, everything in it. It's the Reader's Digest North American Wildlife. So like I don't have a preference for field guides, but this one's pretty good. It gives you the habitat they're found in and everything, which is pretty neat. So we use this quite a bit. I don't carry this in my bag because it's like super heavy, but it's always good to have a good general field guide where you can reference when you see an animal or plant or whatever. Okay, so that's those. And then we've got, I'm going to keep on with, okay, before I get into the picture books, I wanted to show you this, Honey for a Child's Heart. This is for me. I got this through my library, and it's basically a book about books. So I was so excited to pick this up. I read through it so fast, and I got to the section of like where it actually goes into the different books. So it's got favorite picture books for ages. It goes like through the ages of students and children. So it's great. Highly recommend if you're into looking for books. Great recommendations in here. So I feel like I might be borrowing this again once my loan is up, or maybe purchasing it myself. I'm not sure. But super helpful for finding books and actually going through and reading the names of the authors and the titles of the books has helped me when I go to the library or when I go to thrift stores. I know I will recognize the names of books that I've found in here, so it's super helpful. Like I'm getting familiar with the different books and the different authors, which is really awesome. And then what I went and picked up for myself at the library was James Thurber's The White Deer, which was recommended in that book. And it's a children's book, but I am enjoying reading it. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but I'm loving it. And my daughter has even asked for me to read it to her aloud because she saw me reading it, so we might read it together after I finish. Okay, so children's books. Following the Gentle and Classical Preschool has lots of picture books, and this is one of them, Whistle for Willie, so we've got that one. Super Grandpa, which is a really fun story about a grandpa who goes riding his bike in a race, and everyone's like, you can't do it, and he's like, yes I can, and he like wins the race, so it's pretty cool. The Pond, going along with when we were learning about ponds. Haven't been able to bring this back yet because we love it so much. It's a great story. Sleep Tight Farm. This is more of like a fall winter type book. I'm probably going to bring it back and then take it out again from the library once the summertime. It's summer, so we had to get the Little House picture book, Summertime in the Big Woods. We love this book. Another child's book of poems from the library. Again, another just book of poems. Miscellaneous poets. Fun. And Make Way for Ducklings. Another fun book. Okay, so those are the picture books. I mentioned that we're kind of leisurely when it comes to summer homeschooling, right? Plus she's only going into kindergarten, so I'm not stressing myself out. But I found the Ray's Primary Arithmetic, which is similar to like the McGuffey readers. It's very old school. But I really like how simple the lessons are laid out. And my daughter is a very audible learner, if that's even auditory learner. And so it like walks you through oral exercises. So like 1 and 1 are 2, 2 and 1 are 3, 1 and 2 are 3. And I'll like read them to her, and eventually she starts picking them up, right? But anyway, it's very simple, and she loves when we just like sit down and read. So fun to have a math reading book, right? It's a, it's, I'm not going to say a textbook, but it's fun for her because it's a book. This came free with my Thrift Books order, Count on Pablo. It just goes through counting, different ways of counting, 1s by 2s, by 5s, by 10s. So just a great book to have on hand, just to like read every once in a while, get to know your math, right? And then I have 3 books right now from the Math with Confidence curriculum. They have recommendations for picture books to take out on math. So we've got 10 Black Dots. 0 is the leaves on the tree. And Lyle Walks the Dog. We haven't read this one yet. I'm excited to read it. But just to have to read, because we're not like officially working on our math right now, like formally, right? So fun to have reading. I realized I'm very much a literature-oriented, living books-oriented type of homeschooler. Like, we love reading books. So the more books I have that will help us to learn together, the better. Another fun read aloud book is The Very, Very Far North that we started. We're about halfway through, and we're loving this book. We don't read it every day, but we read it every couple days or so. And it's fun. It's about a polar bear who meets all kinds of friends. Then we have Old Mother West Wind's Children, or Mother West Wind's Children. We read the whole first book, which is Old Mother West Wind. And that was all just stories about the different characters in the fields and the woods and the pond and everything. And this is just like a continuation of fun animal stories. And then we've got Favorite Tales of Long Ago. So these are some of the stories that are in 50 Famous Stories Told, 50 Famous Stories Retold. And I like to have this in book form. I have the 50 Famous Stories Retold, the book that I printed and binded myself, but it's nice to have a little book. Like, we keep this by the bed, so we can just, like, if we feel like reading 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 at night, we will pick this up and read from this. And it's another chapter book of stories. fun part. We went to our local thrift store the other day, and since I've been reading Honey for a Child's Heart, I was familiar with a lot of the titles and the authors, so I found Charlotte's Web. We haven't read any of these yet, but I just wanted to show you what we found. Mr. Popper's Penguins. So we'll read these as we feel like it, as we finish our other chapter books. Island of the Blue Dolphins. Abel's Island. I had originally gotten this one from the library, and we didn't read it because I was like, I don't really feel like reading it yet, but why not? It was there at the thrift store. Maybe it's telling me that we need to read it. This is a Beverly Cleary book, Emily's Runaway Imagination. It sounded fun. Can imaginative Emily make her biggest dream come true? I've never heard of it, but I've heard of Beverly Cleary, and I figure why not try it. And then we have Sarah Plain and Tall. And then for a couple years from now, we have the Two Towers. I've been slowly collecting the Lord of the Rings books just to read again, because I've read all of them except for I didn't finish Return of the King. So I'm excited to read them again when she's old enough to have these, to be able to read them herself, or we can do read aloud together. And then she picked out The Ugly Duckling, Hans Christian Andersen version, which I didn't know that he was the original writer, I guess. I'm not sure. But anyway, yes. It's that one. And then this is what I was most excited about. Favorite nursery rhymes from Mother Goose, illustrated by Scott Gustafson. And this one was the one that we had originally taken out at the library while we were following, or we still are following, the Gentle and Classical Preschool. And just like really big, beautiful pictures. Very simple. It's got like one nursery rhyme per page with a big, nice picture. So kind of fun. I love the illustrations in these books. There's a whole series of them. There's the nursery rhymes, and then there's the fairy tales, fables. Anyway. Great. I was so excited when I saw this. I was like, we have to buy this one. I've been wanting a good, solid sort of treasury of nursery rhymes, so that worked out well. And then I ordered this, a treasury of children's literature. And I ordered this on Thrift Books, and it's just got a nice collection of fables and fairy tales, and it's even got poems. It's got some chapters from different classic story books, fairy tales. Yeah, I said that. Anyway, so I'm excited to just have this on hand for times when maybe we can't get to a library to get a certain story, or, for whatever reason we have it, right? Cool. So that's those. It covers everything that I have in front of me, but I'm super excited to do another video. I was thinking about doing a video of what I'm reading right now, which could be kind of fun. Maybe you're interested in that. Let me know if you'd like to know what I'm reading. I tend to be reading multiple books at once, and sometimes I don't finish a book for years. And this morning, I picked up a book that I haven't read probably in about a year. And I haven't finished it yet, but I picked it up, and it was like perfect for what I needed to read today. I've been trying to read every day. First thing in the morning, if I get up before my daughter, I will read a little bit on my own. So whether that's like reading a little bit of the Bible, or reading a book that I've been reading or haven't read in a while. So I'm trying to do that. Yeah, a lot of ums in this video. Anyway, I hope this was helpful, gave you some inspiration for your journey wherever you are on your journey. And if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this sort of thing. I'm kind of nerdy when it comes to homeschooling and books, and I just want to like share all the things that I'm excited about. So I'm excited to have you here and look forward to more videos to come. I'm not sure what my next one will be, but I will figure it out and hopefully see you here. Thank you for being here.